So now that we've seen like the most we've ever seen of Imu at this point, I gotta talk to you about like what you think about all this stuff, because we've made several videos about Imu at this point for the last couple years, going over everything that we can, their origin, what they possibly truly are, who they truly are, how their powers work, how far it goes back. So now we have a lot more to go off of. My leading theory was that Imu was some kind of devil dragon thing, and you actually said, I don't remember how recent this was, maybe this last year, you thought possibly Imu was like a cartoonish type of devil thing. And it seems like that is closer to the truth now that we've seen what Imu's form kind of looks like when they take over Gunko and sprout the devil wings and the pitchfork and the horns and all that stuff. So let me hear some of your updated takes. Like, go back as far, Void Century or whatever, if you have to. I'm curious to hear what the updated Psy theories are.
Yeah, I'm still reeling from the fact that Imu does show like a lot of devilistic properties, right? You got the barbed tail,
that
the pitchfork, the wings. Like, Imu's got it all. Like, even the black magic, the book. I think even their nails like were a little bit longer, even in black. I was like, I don't know if that's like Gunko or Imu, but either way, like, they're full on demon, right? This is kind of what we talked about many times, which is funny, thinking back to all of the Imu theories we threw out there. Even though like some of them were wrong, it was still on the right track because they were all still demons at the end of the day. Like, we knew it was some sort of demon. We just couldn't really pinpoint which one. But I always fell back to Satan. I feel like that's just the most iconic one. And it kind of looks like that's what Imu is. But, now that we're here, now that we're like through the goalpost, I'm a little bit hesitant. I'm not going to lie. And the reason why is because the form we see here in Elbaf is not indicative of the silhouette we saw back at the Reverie. Like, at the Reverie, it was like this gelatinous blob slime monster, the size of the entire stairway to the empty throne. But here, they're really petite. So I think right now that Imu can transform into hundreds of different monsters and demons. I don't think there's going to be a limit to what Imu can and can't transform into in the demon realm, right? I don't think he can like turn into a leopard like Lucci, but I think he will be like the master, the god of demons. And the reason I say this too is because of the demons we see here in Elbaf, right? We see Dori, Brogi, a bunch of like random no-name, nobody cares about giants. They all look like Imu, which I think is a little bit odd. They're all taking on the same form. They all have the pitchforks. And I think that right there is why I believe that Imu is going to be different. This doesn't make sense in a lot of context, but for me at least, it feels weird if the king, Imu, or queen, people think it's a girl still. I think they're both pretty fine. It's weird if the king or queen resembled the peasants. The fact that Imu right now looks similar to Dori, Brogi, and the rest of these losers, it's like, okay, no, this isn't Imu's final form. I think because Imu's in this form right now, that's why the giants take on this form. And then Imu can transform into something else and then turn the giants into something else. I think that's how it's going to work. I think we're only witnessing a small glimpse of Imu's powers. And you could argue that maybe the reason why that is because we're in Gunko's body. Gunko can't exert everything that the real Imu could. Like, the real Imu could transform into this thing, but they're nerfed here in Elbaf. Like, I think that's pretty decent. As far as, like, why they have this power, I don't think a devil fruit fits. And the reason why is because Imu is a very special character. Out of the entire series, Oda could genuinely do anything with Imu. And you know why? It's because they're from the Void Century. Whatever Imu has does not have to be replicated or shown current day. So if you were to tell me that Imu has black magic, that's great. And guess what? It would not break the power scaling system. We're not going to start making theories like, oh, will Big Mom come back with black magic? Oh, Don Krieg is going to get black magic. Oh, is Luffy going to get black magic? Is that the next upgrade? That's not going to be the case. That's not going to be the hot topic around town, because you could say easy solution. It existed in the Void Century. It doesn't exist today. So that is why I think Imu is the perfect blank slate character for Oda to do anything with. So I say it's black magic. I don't mind people saying it's devil fruit. Like I said, I'm really open-minded when it comes to a lot of theories. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I do think Imu is like the perfect character to warp and mold into whatever shape Oda wants. But that's just my hot take rant theory. I would love to hear what do you think, man? How do you feel about Imu now that we're here in Elbath?
So you mentioned about whether they're a man or a woman. We talked about that a lot before. I've always kind of thought Imu was a woman for a couple of years, ever since Uteron's theory about it. But then, like, the more that we got to see about Imu, and especially in the anime with the voice and the slenderness of them, and now that they've taken over Gunko, it makes me really think that Imu is a woman. Because, like, why Gunko? Like, I'm sure that's like why. Yeah, I'm sure that's like why Gunko is a thing, because maybe they have something special where Imu can take them over or whatever. But just the fact that it's a woman makes me think that Imu is a woman too. And we talked about how maybe Imu inherently is a man, but then some kind of shenanigans went on with maybe Law's devil fruit, and they took over Lily, Vivi's ancestor, one of the Nefertaris from back in the day. But it is a possibility for sure.
But first, let's talk about our favorite Japanese artisan subscription snack box, and that's Sakura Co. Because this month's box is Taste of Kyushu. Because this box is filled with snacks and treats from the region's 7 prefectures. It also comes with a booklet that explains all of the snacks in the box, as well as Japan and its culture. They also always come with a special tableware item, and this month it's the Wakasa lacquer chopsticks. First, I tried the Shiran Ryokucha tea, which pairs with everything in the box. This is a really nice green tea that has a sweetness to it and a rich aroma. Next, I tried the Nagasaki Honey Castella. This thing is so moist and has a really nice natural sweetness to it. Next, I tried the Kyushu soy sauce arare. This is a super crunchy cracker that's made from rice flour dough. It also has this really nice sweet and savory soy sauce glaze to it. Then I tried the kuzukiri. These are clear noodles made from kudzu starch. They're super smooth and chewy, and they come with this really nice rich black honey sauce. So guys, you can get your very own Sakura Co box by checking the link in the description, and if you use code Zhoniin, you'll get $5 off your first box. Thanks, guys.
But as for like the magic aspect of Imu, I think that's extremely plausible, because Imu's just doing way too much for it to be a devil fruit. Even a mythical Zoan. Like, mythical Zoans, yeah, of course, they have like a couple abilities. They stretch the laws of devil fruits, which is fine. But this just seems like way too much. And it's very different from just what typical devil fruit powers would be anyway. So what my theory was, and this is honestly just like an organic one, or at least I think it's organic, just from me looking at the mural on the tree. So if you look on the right side, which is implied to be before the Void Century, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but there's like a person that's standing on something with a crown. It kind of resembles Imu, kind of, because of the crown. It's very Imu-like. So it's like, is that Imu, or is that like one of the Neuronas from before? Because that's Imu's name, Imu, whatever, Neurona. And then we see that like dragon thing above them. And I'm thinking like that dragon thing might be the origin of this power or this magic or something. And I only say that because like when we see the left side of the panel, which is like the Void Century War, suddenly it's implied to be like Imu, which resembles the dragon on the right, but kind of like in a hybrid form. And that looks like what we saw at the Reverie. I mean, it didn't have the wings at the Reverie, but it had that overall shape and size to it, because it's freaking huge. Like, Imu on the left side of that Void Century War is like as big as everyone fighting against it, even bigger. So that lines up with the Reverie. But what Imu is doing with Gunko doesn't. Looks different. And like you said, maybe it's because he's taking over Gunko's body, very limited in their power output. So that's where I'm at with it right now. It's probably just like an ancient power that came even before the devil fruit, some kind of like mythical creature that existed, possibly like that dragon, demon, devil thing that also existed with maybe that serpent that may or may not existed. These were just things that were back in the day. And then how devil fruits came about, I still don't know. Something to do with the gods. And then another thing that we talked about was, this was like a couple weeks ago, how Imu possibly might not be able to leave Mary Joie because of some kind of weakness that they have, like maybe to sunlight. The fact that they're taking over Gunko makes me think that maybe they can't leave Mary Joie, because why wouldn't they just teleport there like the Gorosei did, or the Holy Knights or whatever, right?
Yeah. And then not just that, but like, why not go outside and, quell the war at your doorstep too? People are saying, oh, but, Imu's not supposed to exist, so he can't do that. But I'm like, okay, but here's a better one. Everybody who's attacking Marie's Raw shouldn't exist by tomorrow. Like, that is the simplest solution. Like, oh, you don't want them to know about Imu? Well, great, just kill them. Like, they're criminals. They're attacking your homeland, right? So yeah, the whole thing with Imu not being able to go into the sun, I think it's a fun theory, but as far as what you said, I really enjoyed it. I do like the idea of Imu being contracted or combining or, getting the powers of a dragon, because it goes back to their namesake, right? The celestial dragons. Why are they named that? I guarantee you there's going to be a really good reason as to why they're named that. And I wouldn't be shocked if it's because maybe there was a dragon in the past that worked with the 20 kings and queens that took down Joy Boy. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case. And, Oda has played around with real dragons a lot. Like Oda, guys, before Oda did One Piece with, pirates and stuff, Oda was a giant medieval knight sucker. My God, he loved them. One of the original concepts for One Piece, the story he was going to make, was about, guess what? I think Luffy was called Land. It was like a Land and the 10 Knights and the Dragon. It's like, yeah, like Oda always wanted to have like real dragons in the series. You could argue One Piece already has that, right? With the Punk Hazard dragon, but that's artificial. That's an artificial dragon. So I do think that if we were to go back like 900 years ago, we will see genuine dragons flying around. And not just, by the way, not just Punk Hazard. Think about monsters, right? The Ryuma origin story. There was a dragon, a real dragon there. And then you go back even further, but there was a little filler arc where we met the Millennium Dragons from hundreds of years ago, and they just exist on this random island. And like this little girl could like talk to the dragons and stuff. It was so weird. It was a really bad filler arc, but it was interesting because it's like, wait, this is early Oda's idea, Like, what was he cooking with this? But yeah, I totally think that we will see real dragons in the past. If they gave Imu and the 20 kings and queens powers to fight Joy Boy, wouldn't be shocked. And as far as like the person on the mural being Imu, the one that's standing on top of Noah's Ark, I don't think it has to be them, simply because when we got that panel of Joy Boy fighting the kings and queens, we saw that all the kings and queens had the same 3-pointed crown. So it could genuinely be anybody. It could even be Lily, for all we know. I bet Lily also had the same. Oh yeah, I think Lily did have the same crown too, which is weird. Like, imagine like you and the boys you're like, hey, let's all wear the same hat today, guys. Whoa, why? Why are we doing this?
Hey, you want to be in the club or not?
yeah, it's the same 3-pointed crown. Like, wait, why? Come on, get something.
It's
better.
Cool. Yeah, no, you raised a great point. That's it doesn't have to be Imu. That's what I was saying. Like, could be an ancestor, or I don't know. It just, there was only so much Oda can convey on that mural, and I think a lot of the things he wants you to be like, this is this, and then some things are more ambiguous than the others, I guess. But yeah, I guess just a lot more questions than answers with this stuff. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you like the video, give it a like, and check Psy. Have the link in the description as always. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.